Oh, thanks, Carl. I'm so glad you're in the front. It's going to be fun. Okay. Welcome, everybody. My name's Kate. I'm going to be your MC today with Robbie. I've gotten a lot of dirt on him from quite a few people here, so this is going to be fun. Do we have any first-timers at 1 Million Cups? Don't be shy. Okay. Right. Welcome. Hey, I'm not going to do anything to you. Well, thanks for coming. We've got a great program today. I want to thank our sponsors. These are the people who help us keep the lights on. Well, I don't know if we pay the utility bill, but we pay rent, which pays the utility bill here, get the coffee, all that fun jazz. So really want to thank them. You'll see a lot of them in the audience here today. Thank them. If you're interested in being a sponsor, find Carl up here in this beautiful sweater, and he'll get you set up. What is 1 Million Cups for our new folks? We're here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. We either have an entrepreneur, a community builder, an organization come on stage, talk about what they're doing, and then we pepper them with questions at a Q&A. So think of your questions. You can use hashtag 1MCND to ask those questions, and we can ask them for you as well on the social feeds if you're on Facebook. So can we change the face of our community by getting together, having coffee, hearing from Robbie, sharing his deepest, darkest secrets, and getting leverage on him? I think so. Again, you can ask your questions. Carl's going to be the mic runner this morning, and he's going to walk around with the orange mug. So if you have questions for Robbie, just throw your hand up. Or if you're watching on Facebook, just put it in the chat. We can ask it for you. Or use hashtag 1MCND. Also, we have community announcements, and we usually do our mug club. And somebody hit their... Was it their 10? There she is. Yeah, come on up. Now, come get your beautiful ceramic mug. Look at that. That stays warm for an undetermined amount of time. Really show it off, okay? Really show it off. Yes! All right. So if you come, each 1 Million Cups, we've got our Mug Club sticker program going on. So just show up with your reusable mug. And get your sticker, and then you'll win sweet prizes like that mug, or hats, or other things that Janya will be thinking of. Okay, other community announcements. Oh, hey.
Good morning. I am Catherine Spillman, and I represent a board member of the Young Professionals Network here in Bismarck-Mandan. And we have one of our good events coming up here at the end of March. So what it is that we'll have 4 speakers come in and present themselves and the trials that they've gone through as business owners and entrepreneurs. And then we'll have a little bit of Q&A at the end, as well as networking. It'll be at the Louvre from 6 to 8. Appetizers are on us, $5 charge at the door. And come and meet some new young professionals in the community.
Give it up for Catherine. We got another one, and I can tell it's Lakin because she was just back there licking her chops. Community announcement.
Thank you, Kate. You're right. My name is Lakin Ani. I'm program director at the North Dakota Women's Business Center, and I'm here to tell you that our applications for our Women's Leadership Program are open until March 1st. So if you or a woman you know are interested in taking that next step in your leadership journey, you can scan this QR code or learn more at ndwbc.com. March 1st. The next one, too. Yeah, so... aside from my gig with the North Dakota Women's Business Center, I also sit on the board for Mandan Rodeo Days. And I get to work with Isaac, not only in the tech booth, but also through a partnership with Fanatics Events and Mandan Rodeo Days. So they handle our event marketing and promotion. So a lot of new things happening with Mandan Rodeo, and you'll see the first rollout right here. This is our new mascot coming in 2022, and we've got a little naming contest that I'll let Isaac tell you about.
Yep, so the last 2 weeks we have accepted submissions from everybody in the rodeo community and everybody in Bismarck-Mandan, and so we decided on 5 of the best names that were submitted, and so now we're letting everybody vote and decide the final name for this wonderful mascot. So you can go vote at mandanrodeo.com. There's a little pop-up. You can just click that little button there, and it'll take you right to the voting page, and then tickets will go on sale on March 15th. So. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, this is the earliest tickets have ever been on sale. There's some new ticket packages, so you're going to want to get in on that. 2022 is the last year we're going to be at our current location before we roll out in our brand spanking new arena. So I saw an NDSU rodeo jacket in the back. Shout out, this one's for you. So hopefully we'll see you there. Yeah, so come on down to Mandan Rodeo.
All right. All done. Okay, go rodeo. Lakin, are we still working on the men of the rodeo calendar thing that we were going to be doing?
Yes, that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay, find us later. Okay, we have another announcement. Jack Hay.
Hello, my name is Jackie Stebbins, aka Riggin. I like Riggin. Okay, that one died. Sorry about that. Too early. Drink some more coffee and please laugh next time. My name is Jackie Stebbins. I'm the founder of jmstebbins.com, and in a partnership with Humanities North Dakota, big shout out to them, I will be interviewing Susanna Cahalan on March 1st, next Tuesday. And Susanna is in remission from a very horrible disease called brain on fire, and she wrote a memoir, her disease is called autoimmune encephalitis. She wrote a memoir called Brain on Fire. It was a #1 New York Times bestseller, and I actually had the good fortune of having that same illness. So I'm going to interview her, free event. You can register at my website, jmstebbins.com. Thank you.
Good job, Riggs. Okay, no. Also died. Okay, anyone else have any other community announcements? You do not have to have a slide. Anything you have going on at your organization, your business? Andrew, you want to talk about water commission stuff? No? Okay. All right. All right. Well, here we go. We're going to get to our main event. Again, think of some questions, and Carl will be walking around after Robbie does his presentation, and you can, again, pepper him with questions. So Robbie had a long title that I refuse to say, but he is with the Theodore Roosevelt Library Foundation, and they're doing a whole bunch of stuff out west. As you may have heard, we're getting the Theodore Roosevelt Library. It's going to be sweet. It looks sweet. Yep, okay. You can give him money. How do they find you? You know, you'll talk about that, right? Okay, sweet. All right, so with no further ado, Robbie, come on up.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay, does this clicker work? Okay, thanks for having me. I'm going to start, as we all do at the library, with gratitude. Thanks for inviting us to come and speak with you. I'm a first-time caller, long-time listener of 1 Million Cups. By way of 4 years ago was my last, 6 years ago, last time I was in Bismarck's 1 Million Cup was with Keenan Hoff, when he had then candidate Doug Burgum come. I was working for and come speak. I think he was the one where I learned that it's supposed to be 10 to 15 minutes. I think Doug went about 45, 55 minutes, so I'm going to try to keep it around there. Very excited to be here. I'm a new resident for the second time of Bismarck. I previously lived in Minneapolis and Fargo and Boston, and then lived in Bismarck when I worked for Governor Burgum in 2016 until 2018. But I'm moving back because I got engaged to a nice lady. Her name's Medora. She's here. Yeah, we love her. So thank you. I've been involved with this project called the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library since 2016 or 2015. When I was working for then a guy named Doug Burgum, who was running for governor, and we happened to stop by Joe's former campus of Dixon State University and learn about the TR Digitization Center and their idea to build this presidential library dedicated to the life and legacy of Theodore Roosevelt in the Badlands of North Dakota. And I said, wow, that sounds pretty cool. I've been to quite a few presidential libraries. I'm a little bit of a history buff myself. And I said, I'd like to learn more about it. And since then, I've been on the board of the organization for 5 years, and today is my 1 month anniversary as the Director of Programming and Partnerships. It's 4 words, not too long. At the Presidential Library, yeah. And if you fact check me, it is 5 words. That's my bad. At the library, so this is my 1 month anniversary of working on the project, so I get to spend every single day thinking about how to build a presidential library in Western North Dakota, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to start first to tell you a little bit of background about the organization that we have, which we like to start always with our core pillars and our mission and values. So first I'll tell you about our core pillars of citizenship, leadership, and conservation. Obviously, I don't know, everybody across the globe pretty much has heard about Theodore Roosevelt. There's been studies of Pew Research to find out who are the most known human beings in existence, and Theodore Roosevelt is near the tippy top with people like Gandhi, Jesus Christ, Abe Lincoln, Sean Cleary, all these really famous people. But so when you synthesize a life that was so crazy that people would really genuinely say he was even more interesting when he wasn't president than when he was, how do you sum that down to a core set of pillars of what we want to keep and encourage people to believe in for this library? And we came down to these three. We think they're pretty good. First is citizenship. In this time of polarization, there's nothing more important than finding your core root, no matter your political beliefs or lack of thereof, of being a citizen of the United States, of a democracy. We see that around the world, the importance of believing in the citizenship of your country. Being a leader. Has anybody heard the man in the arena speech? Yeah, we've all, who's got it? How many people have that in their house somewhere? I do. I think 4 places. Nobody probably has better embodied the leadership ethic than Theodore Roosevelt about inspiring others to get in the arena. And of course, conservation. There are no greater challenges that are faced probably our humanity as a whole than the idea of how we take care of our planet. And Theodore Roosevelt, in the Badlands of North Dakota, was inspired to create this conservation ethic in the cradle of conservation, the Elkhorn Ranch, halfway between the South and North unit of Theodore Roosevelt National Park, the only national park named after a person. He inspired and came up with the conservation ethic that created America's greatest idea, the national park system. So we like to think that these are 3 of the great pillars that which we build this library. And in doing that, we have the coolest president in the world. I mean, who wouldn't want, we could have gotten Taft. He could have built a place in Western North Dakota. No, we got Theodore Roosevelt. That's pretty freaking cool. So when we want people to come to the library, we want not only them to learn about the guy, but to take a lot of his life lessons and transform it into action. So we've decided that there are 4 core values that we want people to be inspired by when they come to our library. And those are to dare greatly, think boldly, live passionately, and care deeply. And you're going to see these things resonating throughout the museum that we're aspiring to build. So maybe I'll go to this quick here. Who here has been to a presidential library and museum? Anyone? We got a few? We got a few. Okay, so fun fact, it's not a library, really. It's a museum. Many people don't know that, and that's going to be one of my asks, is how we tell the people of the world that we're building an attraction, not a place you can come and drop off your books after 5 p.m. A little background of what we're actually trying to accomplish. So we're trying to build a presidential museum that will be joining the ranks of Barack Obama's in Chicago, of George W. Bush's in Dallas, Texas, of Abraham Lincoln's in Springfield, Illinois. These are sites for people to come and tour and visit and learn more about the inspiration of a president and what made them drive to become the leader that they were, to take the legacy and lessons of their time as a president and their life before and after, and then transform it into a conversation piece for us to become better leaders and better citizens of not only America, but as a globe. So there are people like me who have been to nearly all of them. That was what I did when I graduated high school. I drove around and visited presidential libraries. I was very popular. So when we think about what we're going to do in the Badlands, we're going to try to build a dedicated site where it could be the headquarters of all things TR across the globe. This is a picture of the building, obviously. And what we're trying to do is accomplish building this for the grand opening, for soft opening in 2025. We've never built, who here has built a presidential library? Neither have we. So we've learned that you have to open a little early to get the kinks out. But for a grand opening on July 4th, 2026. Does anybody know the importance of that date? So that is America's birthday. And I know she looks really good and young, but she's 250 on July 4th, 2026. So we are celebrating America's 250th birthday, which is going to be celebrated across the globe in what's called the America 250 campaign. Each state has been given federal funds to establish commissions in their states to celebrate the 250th birthday of America. The last big one of these was in the 70s, when it was the 200th birthday celebration, 1776, so obviously 1976. And this was a huge day in history where people were inspired to find and re-engage with their citizenship, their pride in their country, and engage in dialogue to help us heal as a nation. So we are trying to take part, we're going to be a part of a national celebration. You could picture the opening ceremonies in Washington, D.C., clips of people crossing the Golden Gate Bridge, and then the ribbon cutting on national television in Western North Dakota. We've been working with them. They're super excited to have some place that is not necessarily on the two coasts, that they could celebrate our nation's history. So we're very excited. That's the goal, opening in 2026. How do we do that? What have we done? How do you get forward? So a little bit of a timeline now of kind of our little bit of history. Like I said, this started back in 2015-13, but this is the most recent timeline. So thus far, we've done a few key things. First and foremost is we hired the people who are going to tell the story and build the museum. So we have Future of Storytelling, which is a group that has worked with such startup people like Bruce Springsteen and Oprah Winfrey to tell their stories in books and publications, and Hamilton the Musical, all these great groups that were helping to design design and narrate what we want to tell the story and how we want to convey it to people. And Local Projects is a museum fabricator that we hired to engage and construct that vision. You'll see a little bit more about them later, but they've built many world global institutes, including the 9/11 Museum in New York, just a fantastic group. Then we had this little cool idea of an architectural competition. The cool thing about being able to build presidential libraries is that you immediately have stature and rank, even if we've earned it or not. And at this time, we said, hey, we're trying to build a really cool building at a national park named after this pretty cool guy in a place that is non-traditional. Are you interested? We sent it out to all of the world's most prestigious architecture firms, and to our very happy surprise, they all responded with great interest. And we had an architecture competition that was won by Snøhetta that has done this design that you see today. Snøhetta has done things across the globe, from the actual library, the original Alexander Library reconstruction in Alexandria, Egypt, to Oslo's famous opera house, which people can slide on. So I mean, it's this fantastic architectural firm that is globally recognized that's won our design competition. Then in late 2020, I don't know if you noticed this, there was a pandemic for the past few years. It's a tough time to do fundraising campaigns, but we've been very fortunate with the leadership of people like Governor Doug Burgum, the Walton family who partner, and the Roosevelt family who helped get us started. We have been worked and raised $150 million at the end of 2020. And that is now higher above $170 million. It's changing by the day, but obviously that's a pretty big milestone where we could say, hey, this is gonna happen. We're getting through it, and we're gonna go from a silent to a public phase of fundraising in the near future. Little known fact, if we're building this library, who's been in the Medora musical? Good people. That's good. That's awesome. I love the musical. That's where I met my fiance. We're building the library just on the other side of the Medora musical, which was all federal lands. We actually had to pass an act of Congress to transfer that land in exchange. Thank you, Andrew Travanchek, who's been helpful in all these things. Passed the Land Conveyance Act to make us transfer and give the land where we can build the presidential library. So that passed in 2021 as well, 2020. We're hoping to have a groundbreaking in 2023. As well as hard hat tours and a soft opening 2025, with the aspirations for the America 250 campaign to open in 2026. And then we have future site plans of doing large events that are going to be of global scale, like hosting a presidential debate in 2028, as well as hosting a carbon neutral symposium in 2030 in conjunction with Governor Burgum's call for our state to be carbon neutral by 2030. So that's just a little bit of a zoom in, zoom out. I suppose you're probably also wondering, okay, so that's what a library looks like on the outside. What does it look on the inside? So big caveat here that I was told to make sure to put. This is going to change, but like you're getting a sneak peek into kind of a little bit of what it's going to look like in the museum. How are we going to tell this story? How are we going to embody those 4 key values that we told you about? So once we get the orientation of the library as it is today, it'll be taking you through 2 main areas. The experience galleries, which are lined all above and below the narrative gallery, and then the narrative gallery, which these 2 things I think are important to distinguish. First is that the narrative gallery is about the man of words. It's about this is for anybody who's a history buff like me. These are for the people who go to the museum and go inch by inch, reading word by word, learning fact by fact. There aren't that many of us, but we exist. So that's going to be the core theme, where you learn everything about TR, from the facts of the first things he did, like the first president to go on a submarine, or the first president to fly, he was both those things, to being the first president who had his own photography studio, to being that he won a Nobel Peace Prize, and also his efforts in the presidency. The incredible facts you know. And then we have the adventure galleries, because our main goal with this library as well is not that this is a museum that parents drag their kids to, but that kids drag their parents to, so that we can have people going into TR's childhood bedroom. I think Joe said that he was in the site in New York where he visited. We're going to have a recreation where TR takes you around his personal museum of natural history, of all the artifacts that he discovered in his childhood, where you can go and charge San Juan Hill in the Battle of San Juan Hill with the Rough Riders, where you can go through the River of Doubt with the president, then former president, and experience his life. These are things that people can feel, touch, sense, and take TR's experiences and transform it into their everyday lives. Here's an example, a little bigger picture of what the narrative galleries would look like. This is where we also want to have artifacts at different interesting points for people to experience. And then we have, like I said, those experience galleries. Like I said, the cabinet of curiosities, where you could see where TR was as a child. Going to the train as in young adulthood after both his mother and his wife died on the same day, Valentine's Day, in 1883. And he said, the light of my life has gone out, and he took a train all the way to North Dakota where he then rediscovered himself. Where he became a leader. You can climb San Juan Hill, you can charge it, the path to the presidency. You'll be able to create your own presidential campaign platform. What are the key values and things you care about? What do you want to embody in your public service, not only as a citizen, but perhaps as a candidate? You can experience the presidency, learn about what he did, from anything ranging from trust busting, the many J.P. Morgan and the Rockefellers of the world, to his experience as creating things like the Food and Drug Administration, to protecting our food and our safety, and then also to the president who became a real symbol for American power all around the globe, sending the Great White Fleet across the world. And then I'd like to say, too, that, again, TR, I think he's a very interesting president. I'm a Ted head. I like that stuff. But I think he was more interesting before and after his presidency. Would you have thought that the man in the arena speech was given while he was not president? It was. Would you have thought that he ran as a third-party candidate, and actually achieved more votes than the current incoming president at that time? He did. He didn't win his election, but you get to learn more about what happened to him post-presidency, his time in Africa. You get to go into the last adventure that he had, which was through the River of Doubt in the Amazon. TR will take you on a personal tour of some of his little bit more reckless things he's done in his life. And then finally, you get to see the final chapter, his legacy. Not many people can say that they inspired people as wide-ranging as Tom Brady, who says the man in the arena is his ethos, to Barack Obama, from LeBron James, who has this speech written in his locker, to my father-in-law, Ralph Sletton. People are all inspired by Theodore Roosevelt, so you get to learn about his final chapters and his legacy and interpret it in your own life and see what you can take it to and how you can embody all things TR in your daily activities. But that's a little bit about what's on the inside of the museum. There's a lot that happens on the outside of the museum, too. And these are the different programs and partnerships that we're happening to establish across the state and across the globe. There are 5 key components: the digital archives, education, content studio, outdoor program, and convenings. I'll go super quick through all of them, but we can talk about it more if you have any Q&A. Digital Historical Archives. This is the TR Digitization Center that is actually at Dickinson State University right now. There's a group of faculty who are working to literally digitize all of the papers of TR back and interpret them and make them accessible across the globe. So say you're in a place where you can't access the TR library. You can go online and you can still see his documents. You can learn, you can read, you can find the information and transfer it into your own historical studies. Education. We want every 4th grader and every 8th grader in the state of North Dakota to visit the library. And we want that not just to boost our attendance numbers, so that's kind of nice, it's off season, but also because we think it's important for people to realize the importance of conservation, leadership, and citizenship in their academic experiences, both in K-12 and then in a college experience. We'll be establishing the TR Scholars Program, which is modeled after the Truman Scholarship, where we'll take people from every state across this nation and have them work on a scholarship program where they work on conservation ideas, whether that be the impact of forestry and natural issues that are happening in the prairies to water policy. Trav, perhaps you can get a couple applicants out there. We also have this thing called the Content Studio. We are very aware that we're not going to get everybody to the library. It's very disappointing. But we can get the library to everybody through different vessels. There's different ways we can do that. We're going to start a podcast chaired by or hosted by Theodore Roosevelt V, a really cool guy who has the coolest name in the world. And he said he has a superpower. He can email anybody on Earth and they will respond because it's from theodore.roosevelt@gmail.com. That's a good superpower. But how can we get him to attract different speakers and people to engage with conversations that are impactful to the life and legacy of TR? How can we take models of things like Hamilton the musical, and model it around Theodore Roosevelt? How can we take things like The Crown on Netflix? Who's got a better story than the Queen of England? Theodore Roosevelt. These are things that we're actually working on encompassing to draw people to his story and legacy and then draw them back to the library as well. Outdoor programming, we have the coolest museum in the world. We're the only presidential museum where you're going to be able to step outside and go on a hike right from the library. You're going to step outside, hop on a horse, and hop on a bike and go on the Mattahey Trail. These are unique things that are only possible because we're in Medora, North Dakota, and we're going to be in a site that's going to be of national prominence with the national park system, but the grasslands, and as well as the Mattahey Trail. So we want to take people outside. And then convenings. We see this as a place where we'll have national convenings on conversations that are topical not only in North Dakota, but globally. If you think, I don't know if anybody's been following the news currently, but there was just this massive convening of national security officials in Munich called the Munich Security Conference. There's a very famous American version of the Munich Security Conference at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. This becomes a cornerstone event that happens every single year that it draws people from the presidency of the United States to presidents of other countries to come and speak about the issues of national security. We think we could do that with conservation here in North Dakota. And we think it's important for us to build this platform where we can have accessible places where people like presidential candidates will want to host events, to local groups will want to have weddings and different events, and TEDx conferences. We see that this is a great place to convene people and to talk about important subjects. We think a lot of people are going to come as well. We're really hoping. We know that there's a lot of people who are already super excited about Medora and come and visit currently, whether that be from national park people to campers to bikers to musical guests. I think there's 150-some thousand people who go to the musical each year. This year was the first time since 1976 that the national park got over 800,000 visitors. That's awesome. That's the most visited place in North Dakota. But for context, 2 to 4 million people each year are visiting Yellowstone National Park, and they're visiting the Badlands and Black Hills of South Dakota. That's only a couple hundred miles in each direction. So we think that we can close that triangle and attract more people here with a large fundamental base of attraction, which is the TR Presidential Library. So we want to see a lot of new people coming as well. Anybody from conservationists to people who are history buffs like me, TED heads as we call them, to people who are interested in architecture and high school groups. Different convenings. We think we could really expand this group to be more. So with that, we are challenging not only ourselves, but the Medora community and the state as a whole to think about the big things that are coming and the opportunities that await us with this new platform. Fundraising. I can't shake any of you individually to see if we can get some quarters out, but we do accept donations at our website. But I'll say we are going to be launching a national campaign. We're in the silent phase currently, going to the public phase very shortly to raise in excess of hundreds of millions of dollars to build and construct this program, and then also all the partnerships that go with it, and the scholarships, and the different entities and the programs that will be accompanying the library. Visitorship. We are very seriously hoping to have hundreds of thousands of visitors each and every year to this library, and we see an expansive change in what we're going to be seeing in tourism in North Dakota. And thirdly, we want year-round activity in Medora. I don't know if anybody's ever been there in the winter. It's probably just as beautiful as in the summer in its own way. But at this time, we know that that's still an aspiration, but we want to set big goals and think about how we can transform not only the local community, but our state through increased attendance and visitorship and an expanded calendar. So with that, we're all in for North Dakota, and we're all in for Medora. We're excited to partner with everybody and learn more about how we can work together for the library. And we would ask for you to support us and join our website and join our newsletter and find ways where you can join us in the arena and support this project as we go forward. So with that, I can yield to questions or anything, but thank you for letting me come join. I go over here.
So you can just throw your hand up, and Carl will find you with the big orange mug, and you can ask your question. Robbie, that was Bergam-esque. You got a lot in.
I got it. Was it
15 some minutes?
Nice.
I mean, that was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I speak slowly.
Don, question.
Thank you.
Being a staffer at the Downtowners, our favorite question, our favorite thing to talk about is parking, and we can't get enough of it. But I'm pretty sure I know how the parking is supposed to work. So you want to talk a little bit about that, because I think it's really unique.
Yeah, as North Dakotans, we know that it is our right to park 1 foot away from whatever we're trying to get to. It's in our Constitution, I believe.
They want to park inside the library.
You
so drive through.
There will be valet parking. It'll be me. Snowhead is an incredible architecture firm, but they also have a landscape architecture firm incorporated into it. So the cool part about the design is, first and foremost, it's a mixed-use space. Like the top of the butte where we are is TRMF, the Medora musical, the awesome pitchfork steak fondue, and this significantly large parking lot that is used a couple times a day in massive abundance. When is it not used? It's not used during the day. When do people visit libraries? During the day. So we have this great opportunity with the library to not only not have to build an complete and total parking facility to accompany 400,000 visitors a year. We can build upon the already existing parking and then also expand it into the currently dirt road parking that is further out, and then incorporate it into the landscape into our expanded parking. So the cool design changes as we go, but the cool part about the new parking design is that it's actually lowered so you can't see it into the plane. So it doesn't change the view structure of the gorgeous library that we have here. Because I mean, when we worked with Snowhetta, we had 3 finalists that came to North Dakota and visited and showed their designs and had models, and they're all the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. But the thing that really stood out with the Snowhetta design was that if TR was here, we thought he would support it because it was the one that best fit in with the land. I mean, the real vista is the Badlands. The library is a little cake on top. So we wanted to only be incorporated into the view shed subtly. And the parking is just as important in that same way, because I have a nice car, but it's not very nice in the Badlands. I'd rather look at the buttes. So we have some pretty interesting and subtle ways where people are going to be able to actually park, whether it is up on top of the butte or hopefully in the future as well, park in the community and have some sort of vessel that takes you up to the library. So parking is at the top of our mind too. It's one of the things where we still haven't fully solved. I know downtown Bismarck has fully solved it, so we'll just take that model, but we're excited about some unique models to
We're hanging a mission
incorporate.
accomplished banner across
Mission accomplished.
some of
Parking's
the parking
done.
structures. Yeah. Question way in the back there.
Okay, so I grew up on a ranch just 30 miles south of Medora, so I know the community with the restraints of, you can only have so many people in Medora. I was an event planner there for 5 years. So what is your guys', I know your goal is to have so many people, but to engage the local community, I know is one of the goals on there, but how do you plan to house and have room for all of this increased traffic? And with that, kind of the more on the partnership with the local community and the residents that live there.
Well, I think can I ask where you worked for 5 years? That's exciting. Oh, awesome. Oh, big Cowboy Hall of Fame guy. So I think you're asking the quintessential question that, especially for the people in the programming partnership team and also our design and architecture team think about every morning, which is, okay, we're building this structure. How does this affect the community? How does this affect also the environment? And how can we not only address these questions proactively, but do so in a way that doesn't cause, on our grand opening, some sort of mass injection of capital to build structures and things that are not sustainable in the community, that don't fit with the ethos that is Medora right now. I think it's pretty well known that Theodore Roosevelt Medora Foundation is a significant stakeholder and leader in the community in the development and building of current plans and expansion for tourism in Medora. We see ourselves as another partner that works with them and the community as a whole to want to work on what's called the Medora Area Planning Master Plan, which is to say that anything we build has to be within the guidance and culture and ethos of the community and how they drive the direction of what the sustainable development will be. Because let's be quite frank, if you've been to the Badlands, the Black Hills of South Dakota, you wouldn't necessarily look at that as the perfect guide for how to develop an important ecological place. On the side, you may have 5 different candy shops that are jutting out and an apartment building that looked like it could be from anywhere. And it's just not really the sustainable place, and you really lose what makes this community special. And I think why the library is there is because of Theodore Roosevelt, but it's also because Medora is probably one of the most incredible places on earth. It's my favorite place on earth, to be transparent. And we want to be very certain that we do not lose what makes it special, which is that family-friendly confines that is not going to be commercialized in a way that loses its charm. The fortunate thing that we do have in Medora is that most of the land is either held by a government entity or the TR Medora Foundation, and we have a way to sustainably and actively expand that under the confines of the current ownership. The problem is they already have issues with housing, with staffing, with amenities that are offered, and it's only going to get more difficult as, like you said, thousands and thousands of people get there. What we need help in is not only attracting people to answer some of these problems, whether it be through the Medora Area Master Planning Program, or it's also to attract capital and investment from the state, from local groups, from investors in the Theodore Roosevelt Medora Foundation to help us build a sustainable amount of infrastructure to support this new library. We think it's possible, but it's only done through community engagement. Very importantly, the first office we opened in North Dakota for the library was in Medora. And we have a staff presence there today because we know that who this is most impacting are the citizens and residents of Medora, and they need to be the first people that hear any of our issues. So we've hired a local area coordinator to help us make sure that they're front and center in every conversation we have as a library. I think we haven't done the best job in the past. It was very much a national leading, then local following organization, but we're transforming that now with our footprint and our expansion in-state to being a local first, national second conversation. So I don't have the perfect answer for that, but I'll tell you that that is at the forefront of our mind every day as team members on the library.
I think about like a Jackson Hole that has a lot of design guidelines for their downtown and things like that. You know, very restrictive, but because they're going for a specific aesthetic that keeps Jackson Hole what it is. So it's a really good idea.
Yeah, that's where policy comes in play
Yeah,
too.
for sure. Joe.
As someone who's lived in Medora for about 4 years, I'll say the biggest group that you're going to probably irritate the most in the wintertime is the deer, because usually about November is when the herd starts coming through.
They're an important stakeholder.
Exactly. You got to reach out to them.
Yeah.
With your partnerships, what partnership are you forming with the National Park Service? They do so much with education. They've got, you know, the most important sites in the Badlands for Theodore Roosevelt. What partnerships are you working with as not to necessarily double up the education effort, but to work in concert with each other?
Yeah, well, I think that's a good question. So, I would summarize our major thinking on how we view partnerships is we want a decentralized plan, not a centralized plan for partnerships. We want people to have extensive experiences outside of the library. It may be the first or the fifth reason why they came to Medora, but we want there to be 5 other reasons why they stay for 36 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, and expand and not only spend 4 or 5 hours walking around the museum, that's me, or 1 to 2 hours if you're a regular person. But you know, they also find different experiences outside. So we've been working with the National Parks Foundation as well as the National Park itself with Wendy Ross, who now has, unfortunately for us, left for a new position in the National Park Service, but has been a fantastic director to work with, to see how we can also incorporate the National Parks Master Plan into our planning. Right now, the National Parks Foundation, which is the nonprofit version of the National Parks, is running a $1 billion campaign to raise money for the 250th anniversary of the park system to refurbish a lot of the parks. And we just passed an act of Congress that is also, we didn't, Congress did.
We did it.
Yeah, it was us too. You're welcome.
Andrea, you get a little bit of credit,
Yeah,
probably.
and Trav did a little bit. We did most of the lifting. But to also invest in our parks and make sure the infrastructure is ready for an influx. Because I have a scary secret that most people who know about the parks know. 800,000 people don't go into the national park. 400 or so thousand stop at the Painted Canyon, which is counted as a visit to the park. So, I mean, don't tell anybody. That's a good number. But we know that we have a significant infrastructure problem ahead of us that we have to answer. That being said, we're working closely at the Parks Foundation to not only have it separate from the investment in the library, a significant amount of funds dedicated just to the park itself, to not only expand its infrastructure, expand its bathroom usage, work with its programming on things like, I mean, they have the fantastic ranch in which you can go and stargaze, to the map, working with people in the park to lead hiking expeditions. We're working very closely with them to make certain that they're the first thing that we draw people to in the park, in our visit as well, is that you leave the park, or you leave the library, and you know that there's a national park just a few minutes drive away, and you expand into their programming as well. But we have a lot of work to do as well, incorporating people to not only that, but the Elkhorn site. If you come to the Theodore Roosevelt National Park and don't visit the Elkhorn site, that's very fair right now, but we want that to not always be the case. Because if you think about it, if you go to Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library in Springfield, Illinois, if you knew that the cabin where Abe Lincoln chopped down his wood and built his cabin out in the forest that you hear about in the children's tales was only a few miles away, you'd kind of want to go see it, right? Well, little do you know that the Elkhorn Ranch site is a part of the national park, and many people don't know that you can access it and go visit and see the site that he saw from his porch and look out at the place where he invented his conservation ethic. So there's lots of areas where we think we can help be a plus in a first introduction to the park, but at the same time we know that it is the largest driver of tourism in the state currently, so we want to also benefit from their success as well.
A question over here.
Question from social media. Thank you for being here. Will there be rotating exhibits so that there's always something new to see, or we just taking the kids to the same museum every year?
Good question. And yes, there will be. And that was something I forgot to mention. So thank you, questioner. I will click back a little bit. So there is going to be a flexible space for traveling exhibits in the library as it stands. So we very accurately reflected it by this white space. This is, so my bad. So this is the exhibit space, but we're going to have another space here where we can have traveling exhibits. Don't think Body World, which travels everywhere, but think more of like, little known fact. TR saved football at one time, the NCAA. Could we have an exhibit telling the story of the national NCAA and college athletics and football and the founding of the NFL and TR's role in it? That's pretty cool. To anything from having traveling exhibits from Harvard and National Archives, where most of TR's artifacts are stored, to different things that might be very important for us as well. Tribal engagement, having important opportunities for the tribes of North Dakota and the region to use this exhibit space to tell the more difficult stories about Theodore Roosevelt and his engagement with the tribes and the bigotry and the difficulties that happened during his administration. We see this as a flex space that's going to be, like you said, people like me may want to come 5 times to the same museum to see it each time, equally excited, but we need to have something that's variable and different. So we see that the core flex space for new exhibits to be important, but also that's why we have this model of experiential learning versus just reading, where we think you can have a different experience every time you come and experience the library in a lot of these experience galleries. So that's a very good question. And yes, we do.
Yes.
And it has a
answer was
sponsorship
yes.
opportunity as well.
Okay. Awesome. Sean.
Along those same lines, is there an expectation that there'll be events related to TR? You touched on some of the big ones with the presidential debate or, conferences. Are there plans to bring in, specific scholars or people in that way?
Yes. I had some, I'm sorry. I think I had some extra slides on there. Did they get bumped? That's okay. I will do it live. Yes, so we are super excited about thinking that we can have an annual symposium on conservation, which we think will be like the key fundamental calendar invite that is on people's radar annually. But at the same time, we want to have different TED Head type experiences that are Theodore Roosevelt related. There's Clay Jenkinson and DSU hosts a fantastic program each year where TR scholars from across the globe come and work together and study and hold convenings and speak about all things TR and get really into minutia. That right now is Helen Dickinson. 30 minutes away from the TR Presidential Library. Obvious partnership opportunity to work with the fantastic things they're already doing. Not only that, but we see that this is a place for convening for other presidential libraries, for historians of different presidents to come and tell their story as well. So thinking about partnerships with the Reagan Library, to the FDR Library. There's a natural connection with FDR. I don't know if you noticed, R stands for Roosevelt. So they're a little bit related. Yes, you can write that down. We see this as a place where, there's going to be a significant amount of academic opportunities. And then, like I said, through the TR Scholars Program, which is going to be a scholarship program for college-age students and graduate-level students as well. We want, each year those scholars will visit and hold a symposium of sorts to tell about their research and studies about all things conservation. So, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for academic expansion. And we're going to be partnering with places like Dixon State University, but also global institutions of higher learning as well.
Sean, you have to catch thieves like Theodore Roosevelt did. So there'll be an interactive, you should chase them down and bring them to justice.
You get to hop right on the little Mo.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Robbie, talk a little bit about, it wasn't always certain that it was going to be in this location, and there was some discussion about, he spent a little, some time here, was very, affected him very much, but there was some discussion of, well, he's, born here, wherever. How did you rise to the top and get this location here? The family was a part of that.
Yeah, so this story starts back in the legislative session with local Representative Bob Martinson, who introduced legislation to support Dickinson State University building a presidential library and expanded in scope in a place and interest nationally and locally, where we thought to ourselves, it's important to draw people to the Badlands, and in order to draw people best to the Badlands, why not build in the Badlands? The gateway to the west starts perhaps in Mandan. But the real experience, I think, starts when you come over that hill and all of a sudden Peyton Canyon opens up and you see everything that changed TR's life. And so, when we thought about location for the library, it's really hard to say any more perfect place exists on the planet, including Oyster Bay, New York. I mean, people have tried before to build the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. His home is in Oyster Bay, New York. They tried to build a library there. It was not successful. We happily took over that mantle and said, TR famously said he wouldn't have been president for his time in North Dakota. So we think it's important that the story be told here. And also, we're the only national park that is named after a person, Theodore Roosevelt himself. And this would have been, we think if Theodore Roosevelt could pick a place to build his library, it would have been in the Badlands, North Dakota. Naturally as well, TR got off the train in at the time, Little Missouri, but they called it Little Misery, but in Medora, and built relationships that are still existing today. You can visit the sites. You can visit the house where he stayed in Medora. You can go on the trails that he hiked to go to his 2 different cabin locations. I mean, it's a pretty natural spot. And if you go and see the Vista 2, from the library, you'll be literally looking out at the national park. That'll be the thing you see. What a better dedication and memorial site for Theodore Roosevelt than staring at probably what a lot of us would think is his greatest accomplishment, which is the conservation he did, saving 260 million acres of land during his presidency for conservation across this nation, and expanding our national interest and saving places that, if it weren't for him, perhaps would not exist today. So we're really proud to have it in Medora. I know there's a lot of conversation and perhaps frustration from places in the past about how it was selected. We own the fact that a lot of people were interested, but at this time we know that this is the spot for the library.
We won. Eat it. Oyster Bay.
Take it, Oyster Bay.
Yes.
Oyster Bay 1 million cups. We will not be invited. Yeah.
No. So how can people, well, first I want to know when you got your first Theodore Roosevelt tattoo.
Oh, who has one?
You do.
Oh, I do.
When you
I do
got
not have one, but I will do that for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So how can regular people sort of get involved? Maybe they want to donate, or what could be the ask of the folks here in the audience?
I think the most important thing that we need as a library is support in the community. I think it's pretty well known across the state that we're building a presidential library for Theodore Roosevelt in Medora. It is still not universally known and universally supported. And there's a lot of confusion about what it is and what it has been, and that has a lot to do with how this project has changed over time. But what we need is advocates in each and every community, and especially places like Bismarck, to be publicly supportive of the project as a whole, to say that we're excited for the transformation it's going to bring, because it's not easy to do. And whether it's letter to the editors to support the vision and excitement for this once in a lifetime, once in a generation opportunity for our state to build something that is going to be something we can all be proud of, that matters a lot. That matters more than even donating very often, because in the end it comes down to the local community. We need help interacting with communities to learn and get feedback on what we're working on. I mean, we don't claim to have everything right, and we are very interested in hearing from people about how we can be better. So also engaging with the community and giving us feedback on the library, the proposals, the partnerships, how we're going to impact places like Medora, the actual community, not my fiance. But so how
we can give you money too, Medora.
Yeah. But so, the main thing we need is your public support and your engagement, and then also, it wouldn't help to donate. But at the same time, we would be very interested in how we can work with your organizations as well. We want to have everywhere
Robbie,
from local schools.
I have a fundraising idea.
Yes.
You could live stream your Teddy Roosevelt tattoo session and have people donate. And once you hit a certain amount, you would do that.
I have no problem being a NASCAR driver
Yep.
and having all the logos of all your
love it.
organizations on my body.
Get
So, yeah.
creative, everybody.
I'll-
Let's bring the
I'll-
monocle back,
I'll
you know?
send that to the development team. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just want to talk a little bit of, Dawn, you've got another question. Is it about a tattoo again?
No, it's not about a
okay.
tattoo, but I have a fabulous idea.
Ooh.
I think what you should do to get the word out is release the Theodore Roosevelt minions, the impersonators, the ones that take this so seriously. People would think it was Teddy Roosevelt because they're all great, right? But
No,
yeah, so
most.
yeah, so release them into the world. Make them do the work for you. I mean, this is a golden idea.
We hadn't thought of that.
Is Marlowe here? Maybe it's not Teddy Roosevelt Day or something like that. Let's
That's a
get that
good
on the
idea.
National Day calendar.
And we got Joe Egan. in Medora currently. So if we get like 500 of those, this could be done in a week. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
Before we get to our last question, it was kind of a question for Bismarck, Mandan. This is maybe the spot you would fly in to then go to the Presidential Library. Are you kind of seeing Bismarck and Dickinson as some of your hubs to sort of support some of that infrastructure that you may not have in Medora right now?
Absolutely, and I think that's important to note too. Is first, Dickinson is 30-some miles away. Bismarck is only an hour and 45-minute drive from the Badlands. Medora's success is Dickinson's success. Medora's success is Bismarck's success. The same applies for Bismarck's success is Medora's success. So we see it as extremely important that this I-94 corridor, of which people drive through, I think it's some 4 million people drive on past Medora each and every year. Each one of those people, we want only not to stop at Painted Canyon, where we hope to have a visitor center that tells you not only all about all the things happening at the library, where you get your musical tickets, how you can get your Pitchfork Steak Fondue tickets, how much it takes to get into the national park, buy your ticket early. It also tells you about the Dinosaur Museum in Dickinson. It tells you about the Heritage Center in Bismarck. It tells you about the old red trail that you could take on the highway from the Badlands, which is much more interesting, and go through the Richardson Abbey. All these cool little sites that perhaps right now, we are the least visited state in the nation. And I know every once in a while we like to say save the best for last. I don't want to save the best for last. I want us to move up that number. I would love to be 49, And I think we can do it, but at the same time, it's going to take engagement not only in the Medora community, but drawing people to other places. This is a decentralized model. Everybody's a victor. I mean, people in Pierre, South Dakota benefit for people visiting Mount Rushmore. We want that same thing to happen in Bismarck, in Dickinson, in Fargo, in Grand Forks, in Mayville, where I'm from, the cultural capital of North Dakota. So, I mean, we see this as a really decentralized model, and a lot of people are going to stand to gain. All of us are going to stand to gain by the success of this project.
Good.
Good.
I was thinking about the Mayville thing. It was still sticking with me, but
We have the world's longest shelter belt in Trail County.
oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. There's just nothing much else to say about
Yeah.
that. Great. Well, Robbie, we think it's fantastic, and however we can help it. Yeah, you're really trying to put together a regional attraction here, and so it's not just the library, it's not just Medora, it's what everybody else here can do. That tattoo live stream thing, I'm down. I will give you some cash for that. Carl, do you want to take the honor and ask our last question?
Sure. What's a letter to the editor?
So newspapers are this thing.
I'm
Okay,
just
yeah.
kidding. What can the 1 Million Cups community do to help you succeed?
Thanks for having me. This is an important step, and we're very appreciative of you inviting us to your platform. Things you could do are sign up for a newsletter on trlibrary.com, follow along our project, become a voice for us within your organizations, your workplaces of work, your communities, your school boards, all those different groups, and be an advocate for the project as you go. And then, to be quite frank, just be a cheerleader. When you see a tweet about this project that's positive, toss it on your timeline. When you see something on Facebook, share with people who don't know, whether they be in Rolla or Mayville or Richardson, about the cool things that are happening at the TR Library. Because we really think that this is going to be something that everybody's going to want to take their families and friends to celebrate all things North Dakota. So there's that. You can obviously, of course, we appreciate any donations that anybody's available to give to support our project. We are a long ways away. We're very far, but a long ways away from our goal. And then at the same time, too, support your local tourism projects in your small communities as well, because we know that this is going to be a bifurcated system where our success is other projects' local successes. And last thing I want to say is Kathleen Jorgensen is here, and our comptroller for the TR Library. She's another team member, so everybody can introduce and meet her as well. She is fantastic. Round of applause for Kathleen. Just say that we have a Bismarck office now. There's 4 of us. We're building. We're getting bigger. Also, if you have ever wanted to build a presidential library, it's a pretty cool place to do it.
Awesome. We'll give it up for Robbie.
Thank you.
Also want to thank our friends at Cappuccino on Collins for bringing the coffee today. Tyler was gone, so thanks, Joe. Next week we've got a slide coming up. I think we've got Rama Team's going to be here next week. There we go. Boom. Slam. Got it. Okay, Rama Team's going to be here, so we'll be here 9 o'clock, obviously every Wednesday. There will be coffee again, so we hope to see you. And if you want to present and you're interested, you can go to 1 Million Cups website and click Apply to Present, and we can try and get you up on the stage. So without any other announcements, have a great Wednesday.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was fun. You did a good job. Thank you.